There's a pain you can't quite name. It creeps in quietly after they stop calling, after they stop trying, after everything that once felt warm turns cold. You stare at your phone. The silence is loud, but louder still is the question echoing in your chest. Did they ever really love me? Or did they just love how I made them feel? This is a question we all face, sooner or later. A truth that stings, not because it's cruel, but because it's honest. Most people don't love you. They love what you represent, what you give them access to, what you awaken in them. They don't see your wounds, your depth, your history. They see a reflection of themselves that feels good, and they confuse that feeling for love. You became the source of their validation, their confidence, their worth. You were the charger they plugged into when their batteries were low. And as long as you kept giving, they stayed close. But the moment you slowed down, the moment your light dimmed, they vanished. You didn't stop loving them. They stopped needing you. And that's the difference between being loved and being used. We grow up believing love is something we earn, that being lovable means being helpful, agreeable, quiet. So we shape ourselves into listeners, into healers, into givers. We become emotional caretakers. We pour and pour until we're dry. But the world rarely stops to ask, who pours into you? We form bonds with people who take, not maliciously, but habitually. They don't know how to give, because they've never been taught. To them, love is convenience. Why do you attract people who don't stay? Why do you keep giving to those who only take? Because deep inside you, there's a wound, a childhood echo, a voice that whispers, "You must earn love. You must prove you are worth staying for." So you give. You overextend. You shrink. You say yes when everything inside you screams no. Because if you give enough, maybe this time they won't leave. But they do. Not because you weren't enough, but because they never saw you in the first place. Only what you could provide. That wound, it's not your fault, but healing it is your responsibility. You don't even realize it at first, but you've become a character in their story, not a real person with needs, with shadows, with depth, but a role, the helper, the listener, the fixer. You start to lose your voice because they only value your silence. You lose your desires because theirs always come first. You lose yourself, and all they notice is how convenient you are.
You become addicted to being needed because that's the only way you feel wanted. And then one day, you wake up exhausted, burnt out, hollow, and they call you distant, changed, selfish. But you're not selfish. You're finally empty.
When you needed them the most, they disappeared. Not with an explosion, but with a fade, a slow retreat, a quiet neglect. They stopped showing up, stopped caring, stopped trying. And you sat there, wondering what you did wrong, replaying every conversation, blaming yourself for their vanishing act. But here's the truth. You didn't do anything wrong. You simply stopped being useful. They didn't love you. They loved the emotional high you gave them. And when it wore off, like all drugs do, they moved on. You weren't abandoned because you lacked value. You were abandoned because your value was never truly seen.
Choosing yourself feels like betrayal, especially when your whole life has been about choosing others. It's lonely, uncomfortable, quiet. You'll miss them. You'll miss who you thought they were. You'll miss how you felt when you were being needed. But now, you sit with yourself. No performances, no pleasing, just presence. And at first, it aches, because all the noise is gone, all the distraction, all the pretending. But in that silence, you meet the real you, the one who doesn't have to earn love anymore, the one who is enough, even when resting. That version of you deserves to be protected, nurtured, respected. Looking back, there were signs. The way they only called when they were down. The way they changed the subject when you spoke about yourself. The way your pain made them uncomfortable, but their pain became your responsibility. You were their emotional sponge, absorbing everything, holding everything. And when you needed to be held, they vanished. These weren't accidents. These were patterns. And now you see it. You're not bitter. You're aware. You're awake. And that awareness is what sets you free. Real love doesn't need performance. It doesn't require you to earn your place or explain your worth. It's not afraid of your silence. It doesn't disappear in your darkness. Real love stays. It shows up. It listens. It makes room for your mess, not just your magic. It says, I choose you even when you're not giving, even when you're still healing. You don't have to audition for that kind of love. You don't have to bleed for it. You don't have to chase it. You just have to believe you're worthy of it and wait for nothing less. You won't always get closure, and you don't need it. Sometimes the closure is this. They didn't love you. They loved the version of themselves you kept alive. Let them go. Let them wonder why the warmth is gone. Let them miss your energy. Let them sit with the silence they created. You don't need to explain. You don't need to make them understand. Their confusion is not your burden anymore. Let go. Not because they didn't matter, but because you finally do.
You were never too much. You were just too honest for people who live in denial. Too soft for those who survive through hardness. Too deep for those who fear drowning in real intimacy. And now, you're done shrinking. You've spent years dimming your light so others wouldn't feel insecure around your brightness. No more. From now on, you'll be too much proudly, too honest, too awake, too self-loving. Because that version of you, she's free. He's untouchable. They are sacred. And the people who truly see you, they won't just stay. They'll rise with you.
This isn't a sad ending. This is the beginning of a life where your worth isn't defined by how others feel around you, where you no longer give oxygen to people who only came to breathe you out, where love is no longer a cage, but a home. They didn't love you. They loved how you made them feel. And now, you make yourself feel whole. You fill your own cup. You protect your peace. You own your truth. No more begging. No more breaking. No more bleeding for people who vanish when you're the one who's hurting. This is your era of self-return. The real you is waiting. And this time, you're not going back.